Hello, it's Melia again. Now it's been a very long time since the last time that I talked about or had some of my videos. I have some coffee here. Yeah, it's insanely busy. Um, Work is busy, training is busy, my life in general is busy, and I really didn't have many time to actually sit down and make one of those videos for a while. But now, today, finally, I got a spot before my normal life is continuing. I have a spot for doing this again. Right, so last time that I talked, or we finished off with my year in, or half a year in Germany, which was as a recap. It was fun, but and very eventful. I met a lot of people I would have probably haven't otherwise met if I hadn't gone to Germany. But at the same time, I also had a lot of different experience there, that both good and bad. But I don't regret it. I thought it was a really good experience, and it was a proof to other me's and other people who would think that I wouldn't be able to go out to another country on my own. But I did that already for 6 months and survived it. Alright, so I came back to where I currently live, and got my sweet little kitties back for 6 months. That was an amazing reunion. I missed them a lot during that time. They're a big part of my life, so it's thought of being without them is really difficult to think that would ever be for me like that. But in 6 months, they taught me that why I have them in the first place. All right, so how I started to try to piece my life back together. Like my school was about to be done. I only had to, my graduation was, so to speak, very close, but I had to write my thesis and I had all that stuff, but I didn't have any classes anymore. So I decided that I need to get a job, and while I was in Germany, I had this epiphany when it comes to, actually I do have a lot of epiphanies during my life. This is one of my had for my schoolwork, was that I hadn't decided at that point yet what was my thesis gonna be about, or what field. Well, I had to have it business related, but I had to come up with something good that I'm interested in writing, and then also something that makes it work. Like it's I have something to write about, and I'm motivated to write it. And I have found that finance was something for me, or what I thought. I got interested. I got since I'm not like one of those calculating nerds. I'm not that like fast thinking in that way, but I liked finance in general, and being in that kind of field. A job opening showed up in my area, which was in the finance area, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna apply for this one. Well, let's see what happens, but I'll definitely try to apply for something like this and see what happens, and move. You have to try if you want to go get somewhere. You have to just try. And so I applied, and I got called in for an interview, and I thought my first interview went well, and then she said that she'll give me a call if I get into the second one. And I was like, okay, let's see. Getting to a first interview already is, you should be already happy about that, because today it's not easy just to get into one interview. So in that sense, you should be happy about that. The second was that if you get to the second one, you should be insanely happy, because God knows, that's just amazing. Anyways, few days later, I got a call for second interview, and I was like, oh my god, this is, you know, this is good. This is good. I have a shot on this job. I have a shot on this job. And yeah, that went well, and and it took a few days after that, and I got a call, and that I got a job, and I'm starting on Monday. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So that's already gave me some kind of direction in life, getting into a good job, well-paid job, and all that. And yeah, at this point, I haven't really been out in that sense. I was going on, like, I was getting happier, and I was getting better with, I sort of have left my, past with boyfriends, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna be happy and single and focus on me, and also it was a point where I wanted to just be at home and spend a lot of time with my kitties, because like I said, I haven't been with them for 6 months, and after a while, I'm a person who likes routines, yes, because I like to have a destination where I'm going. I like to have, like, I'm a planner. I plan my life. That's who I am. But if I have too many routines, it becomes boring. And it didn't go maybe a month, I think, which was like I was working from 8 to 4, and then I had weekends free and evenings, nights free, and I went to the gym, which I still do. And then I watched Netflix, and it sort of became a habit of having a glass of wine. Work was hectic, so I felt like I have to reward myself with a glass of wine. Cleaning the apartment was so hectic, so I have to reward myself with a glass of wine. And I didn't see it as a problem then. I thought that, I'm not like I'm an alcoholic, because alcoholics would drink all the time and be drunk all the time, or, things like that. But I'm not drunk. Well, that's what I thought, because, obviously after 3 or 4 glasses of wine, you do get, if you don't get drunk, you get gibberish at least. And I would wake up with a small hangover practically every day to go to work. And but I didn't really care. I just continued and things like that. And I started to go on all this Tinder and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, maybe it's time to look at what's out there again. I'm, ready to settle down and ready to find someone and, get engaged and get married, have kids, and all the whole shebang. Well, I kept looking, and I kept looking, and I kept getting disappointed. I kept looking in my working experience. Maybe I find someone who is actually worth it, or no. But no. There was nothing, and I was like, oh shit, this is really, really and I'm starting to feel lonely again, and this is my biggest issue, is loneliness. I have a hard time. Well, of course, being with the kiddies at home and making them not alone at home helps, because obviously I'm not alone all the time in that sense. But it's insanely hard to look at. The moment when I start to feel lonely, I start to also drink more. And then I get more depressed, because usually when I drink, I don't get happy when I drink. God, no. I get actually depressed when I'm drinking. So that's the reason why drinking is not really good for me in the first place. I can't control it. It's always too much. Always. Even if I try not to, I always end up being too much. So that's why, alcohol and me do not really go well together anymore, at least. Um, I kept on. I tried to get on dates, and that's what I did. I just kept. I was the only. I thought like I have to push forward. I have. If I just lie at home and cry, at least I will never find anyone in that way. So I need to just push forward and just go, and continue and try to just go on dates, and maybe I'll meet the one. I had a few okay dates, and then I have a really shitty one where I ended up leaving middle of the day because obviously we were not meant to be in any way. We had nothing in common, and then he ended up being drunk himself on the date, and I was just like, fuck, I can't do that. So I ended up leaving. I usually don't leave in the middle, but that was the one I did leave in the middle. Secondly, there was a point where I met this. I kept going like. The thing is, like, these so-called dates ended up also be one-night stands, and I end up going to guys' places where I end up having sex with them and all that kind of stuff, and feeling really dirty and used the next day, and trying to understand why no one wants to be with me, like why physically everyone wants to be with me, but no one wants to know how I feel, or no one wants to talk to me or get to know me or anything like that. I don't want to get in too much detail on with all that dates and all that kind of stuff, because it was part of my lonely time where things were just not going so well. Like when I just felt like I was getting desperate in just finding anyone, and if that meant I have to sleep with the guy just to feel close to someone, then I would do that just to feel close to someone, which was terrible, obviously, and that obviously makes you think that I don't even value myself or myself as a human being or as a woman, because I never thought that I would do that I would just be like, oh great, oh well, I just sleep with him. But I had that turn off emotions button. That was the way I used to do it. I would just turn off and try to ignore the fact that I was just sleeping with the person, instead of knowing that the next morning he would not wake up next to me or talk to me or ask how I feel. No one would do that. And that made me feel so lonely. And I really hate that feeling. That feeling is the worst feeling. All the feelings I have to feel. I mean, being angry, being sad, being depressed even works, but being lonely is the worst for me. Like, I just can't handle it at all. It just it breaks my heart, and it breaks me up every single time. Because I cannot be, I just don't like that. I don't like being lonely. I don't like saying that I am lonely. That was the word. That was like the first step when I tried to move on and become better. I had to tell myself that, you know what, you are lonely, and I was like, no, I'm not, because weak people are lonely. I'm not weak. I'm strong. So that's how I see like the whole idea of being lonely. Anyways. I ended up meeting this guy who was older than me, 6 years older than me. We ended up just out of the blue, sort of met on Tinder, I think. And he asked me out for a drink, and I was like, okay, fine, I can meet him. And he ended up, and I was just at that point thinking like, it doesn't even matter anymore, because either he could be some kind of douchebag, or you can be an actual gentleman or whatever, but I have nothing to lose, so I just decided to go. And I went, and he turned out to be a really nice guy, and we had some to talk to, and yeah, he turned out to be my boyfriend for the next 3 months. Well, but after a month or so, I do admit that staying with him for 3 months were probably a mistake for me. I would probably have left him earlier, but after a month, because after a month already, I really realized that, oh god, this guy is not for me. First of all, he was a smoker, and I had just quit, and I was just like, I don't want to get back to that in any way. I wanted to, be done with that, because I really had gone into this this whole training, and I really started to go to work out and do all this stuff on gym, and smoking is not really something I wanted to go back to. Second of all, he was, like I said, 6 years older than me, so that means he was born in a time where, I'm not born with it. And I realized later on, after a month, that, he's way too nostalgic for me. I mean, you can't think about the good days and all that kind of stuff, which I do as well when, but we live now. And gym for me is really important, and he was not that type of person. He would sleep until day, and I wake up like really early. I wake up really early in the mornings because I feel like my day is ruined if I don't wake up early in the morning. He would sleep until 1 p.m., which was like, I would feel like my day was ruined if I woke up at time. And yeah, he was a nice guy, and we did sort of have some fun and stuff like that, but we were not compatible with each other. It was a complete mistake with that relationship, and he sort of realized that. And obviously, one thing as well, he was extremely allergic to cats, which would be a problem, obviously, because I have the cats. So, but yeah, finally, he then one day broke up with me, and I was just like, I didn't even mourn. It was over. Like in the moment, I felt like, yes, finally, he broke up with me, so I don't have to do it. So I was really happy that was done. But yeah, but then again, drinking was really heavy friend of mine in my life at that point. I was drinking a lot. Also being super stressed because I was writing my thesis and all that kind of stuff, and I had deadlines and everything, and that was also my first Christmas that I didn't go home at all. I stayed here to write my thesis. And yeah, so that kind of things. I think I already be almost speaking now for practically it's not 20 minutes again. I kind of want to go through that relationship quite fast, because obviously that was really there was no really big highlights that would actually affect my life forever, like in certain relationships has, but not in this one. So that's why, because we're getting closer to the better stuff and the good stuff. This is just, they're all connected to each other, and that's the reason why I want to show it and talk about it before I get into something else, obviously, because otherwise it's insane. Before I talked in my last video about that I would have another playlist about my tattoos, and yeah, I will, but my tattoos are also connected to this story, so that's why I'm gonna wait with that one until we get to the point where where in my relationship stuff I get into this tattoo stuff. And when I get to that point, then I definitely will make a playlist about my tattoos in general, and then I will discuss rest of my projects and what I'm gonna do or what I'm planning. They're a passion of mine nowadays. I thought I never thought I would take them, but now I have already a few of them already. But more about that then in the next video. I'm trying to make them more often, a month between videos, maybe a little bit too long time, but it's been insanely a lot of stuff to do. We'll see. Maybe I'll try to post a few videos now, but then there's a lot of other stuff going on in my life, so I really can't be all the time posting. But we'll see. I think I will stop here for today. We'll continue the story and my journey, and this is sort of therapy for me as well, just to talk about these things, because you know, my life is good today, so I'm happy that I've gone through all this to come to the good stuff, and I want to talk about the good stuff as well, not only about the crappy stuff. But thanks for following and listening to my story. It's an honor to have you all here.